What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the NotBland Show, and I'm your host, Dujane Bland. And right out of the gate, I want you guys to tell a friend, bring them over to the NotBland Show family, and let's talk some sports. Let's talk some drag racing as we're getting 2 weeks out from the Gatornationals. This year, what we're trying to do, we're going to campaign. I'm going to get you guys to campaign for me. Bring one new friend over. I subscribe back. I have no problem with that. Let's try to grow the group. The growth will help the channel, will help fund this thing, and we can do more for you. We've got a great show ahead. Just so you are aware, Brian Lohnes is on travel, so he may be a little late. Haven't heard from him just quite yet, but I expect him to show up. I want to say hi to Memphis Lonnie, Scott, my man Kenny Smith is in the building. Blake, how you doing? I got some news for you as well. My cameraman, Fred Warner, and Drag Race Mayhem. What's going on, y'all? Man, I am super excited to talk some drag racing with you guys. And before we get to that, you know what time it is. If you haven't done it already, it's time for you to sign up for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. If you missed the news, they are now going to have Summit Racing being the sponsor of the plaques, and they will be on there. They'll be the Summit Racing Drag Race Bracket Bonanza plaques that you will win. So that's super cool. Great to see Summit on board. And if you guys could tell a friend to tell a friend, grow this thing up, we might be able to have Summit a part of the NotBland Show family as well. If you don't know how to do that, this is your first time here, well, this is how you get that done.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
Get involved. It is fun. You don't have to know anything about drag racing to do this. It's super easy. I want to say hi to Nicole as well. She's also in the building, and I'm telling you, this is going to be a heck of a season. I think it was hard last year in Drag Race Bracket Bonanza to try and, win each week. And I think it's going to be just as difficult as it has been last year, probably even more difficult this year with the way things are going. I tell you, car counts are excellent here for Gainesville. Top fuel as of right now, 20 cars. 20 dragsters there. Funny cars, 19. Pro stock, 22. And pro stock motorcycle, just one over, and that is 17. Hopefully we get some more entries. I'd like to see that class have a bump spot and at least be full. Hopefully we'll see what the changes that were implemented mid-season or really during the countdown will have done. And if the fuel change actually makes a difference and helps out as well, I'm really hoping that we see some competitive racing over there. It's important for that class to have that. I'd hate to see it end up what it was at the end of last season, and it really wasn't fun to watch because just had so many spots that were missing. And those who were missing, I understand why they didn't show up. I totally get it. So, new year, new season. Hopefully we can get some new, blood and new life into the Pro Stock Motorcycle class. Before coming on here, I don't know if you guys saw it. I did tweet that out. For those of you who did not like the 3 sessions of qualifying, well, outside of a 2-day event, you're going to get 4 qualifying sessions for 2025. Mission Foods Drag Racing Series. I'm excited about the 4 being back. Gives people an opportunity. It's tough now with 3. If you miss, you know how this goes. You miss early in the first session. Number 2 is going to be very difficult, and it's the hero session. And if you miss in the hero session, well, your chances are slim in the 3rd session, because it's usually during the most hot part of the day when you're probably best race conditions. And usually if you've missed the first 2 and did not execute well, you're definitely probably not going to do enough to get in. You're going to try to get an A to B, and maybe that A to B doesn't work, and it's not enough to get you in. So I'm excited for the 4 qualifying sessions. Gives people an equal amount of time, and that last session, that 4th session, may be a session that someone could actually get in due to its time in the day. The late lap is in the building, and boy, we can't wait for that to come back. I've just seen some stuff behind the scenes, and let me tell you, it's going to be fire. Absolute fire. Nicole says the teams go all the way. 4 just makes sense. Plus, putting Nitro first will keep more people in the seats. Agreed. Yeah, I agree. And that's important for Pro Stock and Pro Stock Motorcycle to be seen. And I've tried to encourage that here on the show. It's important that, they get some airtime. And I think people don't necessarily watch Pro Stock Motorcycle because they're too focused on Nitro and haven't given it a shot. It's actually, and I think it's best to experience a lot of bike racing at an all-bike venue, at an all-bike event. I had an opportunity when Man Cup had the Nitro bikes to come out here, and I've covered it a few times. And that's how my love for the Pro Stock Motorcycle and the bike racing really grew. You got to see different types, different styles of bikes, and you really get to understand how difficult it really is, not just on the riding aspect of it, but just from tuning, to all of it, the setup, the whole thing. You really grow and get an appreciation for that, that style of racing. And I just think if people gave it a shot, they'd be more interested. Drag Race Mayhem says, I don't worry for Pro Stock. People will just leave after Nitro. Speaking from being at races, most fans only watch Pro Stock now to save their seats for Nitro. Yeah, and sometimes that is the case. Yeah, that is sometimes the case. I know last year in Gainesville, I don't think we had too many people leave the stands during qualifying. It was pretty packed throughout, and that was pretty neat to see. There was a lot of people there, though, a lot of people, and that's saying the stands were packed, and there were still a lot of people in the pits looking too. So, yeah, you do experience that at different times during different races, and I guess it just depends on where you're at too, right? Really does depend on where you're at, and what those people's preferences are, because everybody loves Nitro. I mean, it's kind of hard not to, right? Just loud, popping, banging, just fun, and the smell. Todd Smith and Mike Zippy Neff. That will be the crew chiefs for Alexis DeJoria's car. She will be present, as they did. JCM did put out a press release today. They will be at 10 races. They will be at the Gatornationals. They will be testing on Tuesday. So if you guys are interested and love watching testing, well, they will have it there for you guys to watch. I believe it's going to be on the YouTube and on NHRA TV. I enjoyed it last year. It was something cool to watch, just to be able to kind of get your fix in before the actual event. And we'll get to see some people that are trying to hone some things in Some people are just getting started, like Spencer Hyde. Spencer Hyde. He'll be driving for Jim Head, which I'm looking forward to that. I think the guy can drive for sure. And I think he's going into a car that what's most important is it's very consistent. And if you can do your job as a driver, the car will be there. Jim Head will make sure that car will be there for you to have success. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Spencer Hyde is capable of doing. I mean, he's driven, Top Fuel. He's been in pro mods before. So there's no doubt that he is capable of driving. Blake says, yep, that was my mom. She only liked Funny Car and Top Fuel, but then she got into Pro Stock Car and later Pro Stock Bike. Yeah, it just takes time. Like, if you stay around and you actually watch and you actually take a look at what's going on and just go back to the pits, watch them run, go back to the pits, see what they're doing. I think people will grab and get a better appreciation of what's going on for that. Drag Race Mayhem says, if the car is good, Spencer Hyde is top 3 in Funny Car easily. He's going to be in the conversation with JR, Austin Proc, and on the tree, especially looking at his pro mod stats. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That car has the ability to be right there in the top 5. I agree with you. JR Todd is going to be one to watch, and we'll see if they can get it rolling quickly, because sometimes it takes some time. I don't know how Dickie Venables works. Some guys like things set up a certain way. That's how they excel. That's what their playbook calls for. And if that's what they're doing or not what they're doing, getting the car to respond during testing early is going to be absolutely important in this whole thing, and for them to get off to a quick start. My guy from Bowie TV, Darrell Owens, what's going on, man? I appreciate you tuning in. This time we are talking NHRA Championship drag racing, but we will be having you guys on soon to talk about some pro wrestling. We got to do that. Nicole says, watching testing, more days of research to make picks. Yeah, great time to see what's going on and getting a little bit of analytics, a little research to see who we're going to pick here and who's going to be picked. As we put this up here real quick, to see who's going to be consistent coming into race day, coming into the time where it's going to matter, and it's going to matter real soon. Drag Race Mayhem says, JR Todd reminds me of like a Joe Burrow elite driver. Team around him has never been as good as he is. Yeah, just needs everything to come together. That's really all it is to it. Just having everything to come together. And sometimes the car just wasn't there for him. And if they can find a way to get the car to be there consistently, there's no doubt that I think they'll be right there in contention this year for a championship. Looking at Matt Hagan too, with what he's changes coming about, really not new crew chief, but a new head coach now. They came out and Bradenton looked really good, was very consistent, and looked like Dickie never left. So that's the kind of stuff you want to see, and it probably gives him great confidence being able to just go out there, rinse and repeat, not stumble too much. And we'll see what happens when they test. Obviously, there'll be different conditions. I believe right now we're looking at 70-degree weather, and that's like 2 weeks out. But, the weather looks decent. Looks like it's going to be cool mornings, not cold like it had been in the last 2 years where you see below freezing temperatures, at least as of now. But we're going to see some decent temperatures and 70-degree weather, what it looks like. So that makes for great drag racing. And we'll see how this whole thing goes for Matt. Can they pick up and kind of take up right where they left off from the Pro Superstar Shootout? We'll see. I think they can. It's not like these guys didn't have good tutelage, right? And I think because of that, they're actually now given the opportunity to get the wheels going, get the training wheels off, and now ride the bike. Show me you can ride the bike. So I'm excited about that for them. Looks like John Schaefer is going to be on Ida Zetterstrom's car. I think they're doing 10 races as well, if I read that correctly. So looking forward to seeing her out there as well. What's going on, Sam? Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. I had to kind of work that in there. That's my home. So had to work that in there. So we got 2 logos. You saw the one tonight on the intro tonight, and we have the Maryland flagged NotBland Show logo as well. My guy, Nitro Performance guy. What's going on, man? How you doing? Welcome to the show as we are talking about, ahead of the Gatornationals. We are waiting for Brian Lohnes, who is on travel. He is traveling. I'm going to reach out to him via email and see if I can get him there. But could come in late, maybe not at all. But either way, we're going to have a jam, and we'll catch up with him next time. I'll go ahead and say it now since we got time. Blake, you ask and you shall receive. To start off next month, which I believe it is Nationals Women's Month or something. I probably screwed that all up. But to kick that off, we will be having Amanda Busick on next Tuesday before the Gatornationals. Super excited about that. You should be too. I'm looking forward to getting her outlook on the NHRA season. Let you guys get to know her a little bit and, see what she thinks about this season and what she's looking forward to. So I'm excited about that one. That's going to be fun. And hopefully we can keep it going. We're looking to try to nab Alexis or Ida here on the next following Tuesday. Still working those things out, but, I'll be sure to keep you guys updated on that one. Well, I'm going to start back with Top Fuel. And so it is Steve Torrence testing. Now, we don't know what it means and how long it will be, but he is testing. And it looks like for this race, he will be present. Him and Billy are on the sheet. Where does it go from here? After Gainesville, that will remain to be seen. But I am excited to see him be a part of this, and hopefully it is full-time. But they haven't made that announcement, so not sure where that goes. And yes, Melanie Johnson coming in is going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to that as well. That's going to be fun to watch. And a lot of good drivers over there in the alcohol classes. I think that's going to be a class to watch, especially with the injected funny car now. Should be fun over there. And no problem, Blake. No problem. We try to aim to please as best as we can. And March is Women's History Month. So to kick that off, we will have one of the long historians of motorsports reporting, Amanda Busick. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Should be fun. See what we got here. Other comments. Yeah, he might be running the call out. I saw Tony got put into the call out. Tony Stewart got put in. I don't know who he was replacing though. You're right. It's probably Tony Schumacher. Yeah, right. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Tony does. It'll be interesting. Yeah, he could literally come in and like shake the whole thing up. The guy that just kind of got in there and snuck in there and got it and stole it from everybody. win the whole thing. Be pretty cool to see what happens in that whole call out there. Hold on just a second here. Don't like dead air, sorry. But just trying to see if we can get Brian here. But yeah, anyway, so I'm looking forward to the call out. Should be a fun group that will be there. I don't know about you guys, but so to me, the call out hasn't really worked out the way I thought it would. And when I say worked out the way I thought it would, I mean, like really call somebody out, right? I mean, it's been kind of a nice fest. I want a little bit more WWE stuff. I want people, you got time to prepare promos. You got time to at least prepare something. I mean, Antron's pretty good at it. Just need him to execute it. It's call out, right? There's nothing friendly about a call out last time I checked. But would you guys be interested? And I know ship draws can be worn out, but would you guys be interested in seeing a chip draw, or do you have another way of executing the phantom matchups to create those surprise matchups in the call out other than calling people out? Drag Race Mayhem says it won't just because the drivers in NHRA are scared for some reason. Most of these guys own businesses. They aren't professional racing drivers like, say, F1 drivers. Yeah, but I mean, we got to stop with that nonsense, to be honest. I think it's a piss poor excuse. That's what I think. Very piss poor excuse for not executing well, because it can be done. Nicole says, if you remember at US Nats, Bob Tasca let a fan pick for him. That's another good way. That is a excellent way, as a matter of fact, of doing it. You could legitimately just let it be a fan pick. And maybe the drivers pick out a fan. Maybe they do it at the ropes and they select one fan. Maybe they put names in the hats. I don't know how you do it, but they can select a person that will make that selection for them. That would be a nice shakeup other than a chip draw. I do like that. That makes a lot of sense. Let's see. I keep saying it doesn't make sense for first race of the year. Need to be more buildup for some grudges. I agree. That's another problem I have with that. Is it's too early. We've been sitting in an off season. We've been chilling out. Everybody's just coming off vacation. There's really no animosity. Nobody's put anybody, hung anybody out to dry. No one's gone in and made any type of double bulbing. No one's did a last minute switch that might tick somebody off, whatever it may be, right? There hasn't been any of that. So there's really no buildup to it. I mean, unless you're Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, that just sit in the locker, sit in the trailer, and make up stuff about your opponent to be pissed about. It just doesn't work. Everybody's happy because they just got off vacation. So it makes it difficult. I do like that, though. I think there does need to be a change with it all. Got to find a different way to be able to make it exciting, especially being the first race of the year. I think it should be moved down the line a little bit. Maybe you start that tally of points and all that a little bit later in the season. Then it kind of comes into the next season or whatever the case may be. But I don't think it needs to be the first race of the year. Now, is it because of convenience? most of the people that are in usually are attending all the races. So having someone in that may not attend all the races is highly unlikely. So you could move it a little bit further in the season. Sam said maybe it could be a fan vote for matchups, like when the Legends raced the Camrys a few years ago. Yeah, good idea. Good idea. Drag Race Mayhem says Lohnes said they are releasing one next year, a reality show that is. We'll see. It was kind of a layup. I wouldn't even say a layup. It was kind of flat to how it was kind of announced. And I think Ron Capps had mentioned something about that, or maybe it was just pertaining to him, but it was kind of haphazard. So I we'll see, right? We'll see. Funny Car is going to be interesting this year. Got Blake changing, and it's pretty interesting to see that Del Worsham was at the Pro Superstar Shootout, and Bobby Bodie was in that car and will likely be racing here at the Gatornationals. I believe he is racing some races in that car, and he'll be racing some races in his own car. And I like that. I think it's going to be good for him because he's really going to get a lot of seat time. And he's really good. And more time behind the wheel, it's going to refine his already good driving skill and could make things interesting. Could make things really interesting. But I like that pairing with Del and Bobby Bodie. Says the only drivers they could do is Jasmine, Capps, J.R. Todd, Sean Langdon, I feel, are the only ones who would be open to it. Yeah, probably. And Nicole says, depends where reality show airs to. Needs to be on network that will grab eyes for new fans. Agreed. That's the biggest deal right there. I see some opportunity for them to dabble in the world of Max or Netflix. Max is probably more probable. I think there's room for growth there as NASCAR has started doing what they used to do with the old days in the DirecTV deal. And they are having the drivers in the car, in-car cameras and radio being able to, you can watch your driver go around the racetrack. I'll say this, it's fun, but it can be boring because you don't have any commentating. So you don't have the sound from Fox being played over it, obviously, because you kind of want to hear your driver in the car. But it is interesting. I do watch it every now and then because I do find that the angle from that and listening to other drivers as they're making their rounds and the different strategies and things that go on is very interesting. To jump over there just for a quick minute, I tell you what I don't like, and I think Brian said it on his podcast as well, is that I don't like how the finishes were in these first two races. They were great races, and the finishes took away from everything. And it's like, okay, so a caution comes out at the end, and you let those guys race to the finish line, and then a caution comes out in this race, and it's the first person who's in the lead at the time of the caution which wins. It's too confusing and convoluted. Like, why make it difficult? Got to come up with a better way than that. It's weak. It's a weak ending. Clean it up. Go green, white, checkered again if you have to. Or let them race to the finish line. I don't know, but that wasn't a call in Atlanta, and I thought it just made the win just kind of took the oomph out of it. It was just like, oh, okay, it's over like that, finish like that. Yeah, I didn't really care for that too much. That's one thing that the NHRA does have right. We don't have that problem. We don't have that problem at all. Drag Race Mayhem says if the reality show isn't PN, Netflix isn't an automatic bust. Yeah, like I said, I think there's potential. A lot of people are doing it now. It has to be a streaming service to get younger people. A lot of young people do have Netflix, no? Says, to be fair, our sport is the most complex sport out there when you get in depth. It is. It really is. There's a lot to dissect with our sport. It's not basic, just, driver gets in car's fast, cut good light, end up to the finish line. You win. There's a lot to it. Just before you ever even get it to the starting line. And, there's some complex things with NASCAR too, especially with these cars they have today. There's just so many little things that have come up in these first two races, whether it's with wrecks and how the cars are built and the wrecks. And, back in the day, man, you have a little wreck or the tire go out and, you see a guy leg it to pit road, no problem, right? And it's like now if you got it's like you're driving your daily driver with low profile tires and it's a low rider. If those tires go flat, dude, it's over. Like it's sitting right on the skid plate. You ain't doing nothing. You ain't going nowhere. You're gonna have to have the tow truck come out and get you. And it was pretty funny during the race in Atlanta how I don't even remember what car it was, but homeboy was driving that bad boy sideways to pit road. He made it, but that joker was sideways. It was like a crip walk almost. It was funny to watch, but man, if you lose a tire, it's over. Like it's sitting right on the plate and it's not going anywhere. And don't get stuck in the dirt. Like in the infield, it's done. Over. Completely over. Drag Race Mayhem says, to most casuals I've met, they don't even understand the different classes. Most people think they race each other. We in the sport have no idea how little people know about it from the outside. Very true. Very true. There is a lot to dissect and gather if you're new to the sport, especially the way that the cars have gotten over the years. To get back on track, though, with the funny car class, I think AP is the front runner. And I think you have to put both cars there. Obviously, the difference in both cars, nothing against Jack Beckman, is just the kid is lethal. And somehow, some way, Jack is going to have to find, he's going to have to dig deep and steal a few. That's going to be the difference maker in whether he wins or loses in this thing and can stay ahead of the game and don't allow him to run away with it. I do like we talked about J.R. Todd being a part of this thing and potentially being a car that could upset things and make things interesting for the class. As I look at the list here, we forget about Chad Green and what they've been able to do. Looks pretty consistent there in the Pro Superstar Shootout as well. What will Paul Lee look like in 2025? Another car that is, primed and ready to be in some final rounds and win some races consistently. Cruz. Changes have been made. Changes were made last year. I do believe the changes last year were allowing, and they were kind of getting their feet wet. A lot of new moving parts over there. They started to kind of find a little bit of a rhythm at the end of the season. Can they get off to a fast start? It's time for Cruz now. It really is. It's been a bit since he's been competitive, and I know how bad he wants to get back there. I do believe this is the crew that can make that happen. but they have to get off to a fast start. We just mentioned a bunch of cars ahead of him that have shown the consistency already and have produced. We saw it towards the end of last season, the different cars that were starting to find their level of consistency. You look at Dan Wilkerson and that car. Will they be a step further and be able to rinse and repeat a little more often than they have been and kind of run some of the numbers that the top tier teams are running? And that's what it's going to take when the conditions warrant. But I do believe this year, as much as we talk about the hero runs, as much as we talk about the cold weather, when you really analyze the season, there's not too many times during the year that you have those premium conditions that 80s are going to be prevalent throughout the day. The potential for them are prevalent throughout the day. You have to have a hot weather tune-up for the most part, and a consistent one, a one that can go out and you can rinse and repeat, no problems, with no questions, no phantom tire smoke, none of it, unless there's some type of malfunction. That is what's important when coming down to really this class as a whole, is just finding the consistency there and being able to repeat, especially in hot weather tune-ups. I'm looking to see what Dave Richards does. Can they be more consistent this year? A team that really, I thought towards the end, started to find their feet. They started to find their footing. They were starting to get in that car to repeat better and more oftentimes than not. They struggled a little bit at the Pro Superstar Shootout, but how much of it was them trying things and trying to try some new things to maybe get ahead of the game? Not really sure. If they test, we'll see. But it'll be important for them to get off to a fast start as well. Buddy Hull and Jim Dunn Racing. We talked about it all last season. I kind of used it as the Chris Bourbon. Come on, Seattle. Remember that? Come on, Jim Dunn Racing. A lot of new stuff there over there last year. They continued to stay the course and didn't waver in trying to figure out what they want to do going forward. And it will be something to watch here to see if they're able to put it together this season and start to go more rounds, be able to qualify and, have the 3 and 4 runs that you can go out and at least put together 3, right? Consistently. And I think that's where teams like Jim Dunn, teams like, Dave Richards, they will benefit from the 4th session, because sometimes you get behind it on Friday, and then when you get to that night session on Friday, the hero session, the conditions are so good that you make a run sometimes, but sometimes the conditions are so good that you don't have enough in it to really get it to marry to the racetrack. And so you only get out to 300 feet, 600 feet or so, and you're able to put up a decent number, but you really don't have the data to go all the way through. And then Saturday, you're dealing with another set of conditions. And so that 4th session, I think, will help out teams like that to develop that level of consistency that we're looking for and that repeatability that teams are looking for when it comes down to trying to put together and win races. When you look at this top fuel list, Trip Tatum's going to be back. He's usually a menace and a thorn in people's side there in that department. It's going to be fun to see what he does and how many races he comes out. That guy comes out prepared every time. He kind of reminds me of TJ Zizzo, who will be there as well. I don't know if he was not at Gainesville last year. I do not believe. I could be wrong. No, I believe he was there. I'm looking forward to seeing them back. And I hope they can, somebody, give them some extra money so they can run a little bit more and run a few more races. I can only imagine what they could do with a full season and what they come out in spot duty and act like they've been running every race is impressive. But I'll tell you, and I know it hasn't changed from years ago, but when I spoke to him years ago, we were standing at what then you used to get your credentials at the trailer. And we were talking about how they're able to just come out and be able to do so well. And it's because they practice when they're off. They treat it like race day, and they're prepared, and they stay prepared. They stay ready so they don't have to get ready. And when they come out, they're able to put up numbers and compete. And I mean, when they put up numbers, we're talking potential to be in the top half of the field 90% of the time. So, and they're not really a first round out either. They got people shaking in their boots and working hard to make sure they don't wisp them or smoke them because they're not trying to lose. So I'm really excited to see what they're able to do this season. Sean Reed as well. What will that look like, as they were able to put together a really beautiful win at the Pro Superstar Shootout? Very consistent. Again, just like Josh Hart, they were just able to repeat so well. And I know I've said that a lot, but it is so important. That's where guys struggled at last year. Josh Hart being one of them. Just being able to go out and know that at the end of the day, if I don't have my fastball, I've got my medium ball. I can run low 70s and be respectable and be there at the end if I can give myself a chance. I'm not going to go out there and smoke them up at 60 foot or lose it at 600 feet or 300 feet. They're able to put it together. And I think that's going to be the difference maker in some of these teams being able to put together and string together some wins. And I see Sean Reed getting some wins this year. They looked really good, really good. And I know conditions change, track changes, all those things, but he's got a good brain trust over there. And whatever they were looking for, they found it and got the W. And I think that's a huge momentum boost coming in. I want you guys to pay attention, and we'll talk about this more next week, but I want you guys to pay attention to those who line up against Sean Reed. I call it the John Force effect. Say, what is that? Remember when John Force was like rattling off championships year after year after year, dominating folks? Well, people would go up there and, because they're nervous and they know this car's going to do what it's going to do, race in and race out, round after round, they go in and try to grab themselves some on the starting line. And they sometimes and most times miss. Some guys overtune a little bit, feeling like they have to keep up. So they put a little bit extra. Doesn't pan out. They smoke them up. I want to see if that effect happens here, especially if they can put together 2 good runs in qualifying and look strong throughout qualifying. In the first round, somebody going to get a case of the yips, possibly. Be a little nervous. Maybe get out of character a little bit, feeling like they got to grab a few on the starting line. And it's going to be a good year if Sean Reed and that team can do that there. I'm looking at Doug Foley as well. Unsung hero. A guy who rarely gets talked about, but a team that does come out and runs very consistent. I want to see if they can step it up just a little bit to that contention point where it doesn't matter if they're running the top 5 guys that, hey, they have the ability to snag one from you consistently. So super excited about them. And last but not least, we already know Doug, Justin, Antron, the reigning, defending, undisputed champion. But Brittany Force, another car at the Pro Superstar Shootout that was able to find it and keep what they had at the end of the last season that kept them in contention at Pomona. That made it super interesting in Top Fuel. They came out at the Pro Superstar Shootout and put up numbers. Are they back? We're going to see, but it sure does look like it. They look very confident. She looked very calm, cool, and collected, and confident herself. And I'm really excited to see that car to get back to what it was doing. It makes qualifying and makes racing fun when they're running low ET a lot, because it makes all these other guys step it up a little bit, and all the other cars are capable. So we'll see how that goes. Jasmine's back in it as well. Can that car be more consistent? Can she be more consistent in the race car? We'll find out. But Top Fuel is going to be fun. Both classes are going to be fun there. Pro Stock, it really boils down to, by the way, Matt Hartford is in. He is on the list. I don't know if you were watching the WFO show earlier today with Erica Enders and mentioned it, if he was on the list or not. But he is on the list. So I could only assume that he will be there. Will Erica get back to what she was doing 2 years ago and find it again? We're going to see. They did pretty decent at the Pro Superstar Shootout. Nothing like what we've seen in years past. But she was also sick, so, that plays a little bit into it as well. We'll see how well they do here. I believe they probably will be testing as well, as she is at the World Series of Pro Mod this weekend, back in the Pro Mod car. And I'm going to be watching that as well. I'm excited to see that and what transpires there. Pro Mod is like my that's the class that I really love to watch, because it's so unpredictable. The cars are so unpredictable. They're like, a shorter wheel-based funny car with doors. So I'm looking forward to seeing that World Series of Pro Mod there. And tonight we will be having Wes Buck on the Power Hour as well. And I believe Glenn Cromwell will be on first on the Power Hour. So tune in over there tonight as we discuss some things with them, about the in-season champion, some of the changes that have been made for the NHRA. And I'm going to ask the question about the participation trophy and when we can see that ended, or why they chose to keep it. So I don't have a problem with asking the hard questions, non-negative, but hard questions. So Sienna Wildgust is going to be here. It says Wildgust Family Racing. She's in a Camaro. I assume that it is with Elite, because that's where she was last year. I thought she was supposed to race more races last year, but that didn't seem to work out. Let's see what Drag Race Mayhem says. He said, to be fair on the Sean Reed, he averaged about an 0.85 last year reaction time. If he gets better on the light, the teams become a contender, but the light isn't cutting it against Antron and Justin. Absolutely. And I think he knows that as well. We talked to him, I believe it was last week, about that. And he knows that he's got to be sharp on the tree if he wants to have and be able to contend against those type of drivers who are just absolute stone cold killers on the tree. Yeah, man. Funny cars with doors. It's funny, man. Those things are just the most squirreliest things ever. And if they're at a show, you might as well go on and bet that there will be a delay, especially when it's time for eliminations, because them boys and girls are not lifting. They're not lifting. If it's semi in the groove, they're going to whack it again and see if they can get it to the finish line. Simple as that. Nicole says, in Pro Stock, my favorite storyline isn't really being talked about, and that's Coughlin KB versus Coughlin Elite. Yeah, that is, I didn't even think of that, but that is a very cool storyline. Two Coughlins in the Elite camp and a Coughlin in the KB camp. I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if it might not be Christmas cards being sent if he delivers. Might get the cold shoulder at family outings. I don't know. You put them on the trailer too many times. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Should be fun to see how that all rolls out. Greg Stanfield being back, although I don't see Greg on the list. I do not see Greg on the list here. So I don't know. I don't know when his first race is supposed to be, but it is like almost 2 weeks out. So I'm sure more names can come up on there as we get close to the time. But if I'm looking at it correctly, because I don't see him on that list. So Jerry Tucker had a good year last year. Can he be more consistent? I'm looking at that too. Corey Reed, though, what do they call him? The caveman? Had a good outing at the Pro Superstar Shootout. And surprised some people, won some people some money too. If you're betting, I cannot, but if you're betting, he won a lot of people money, first round money, real easy. Drag Race Mayhem says Pro Mod is the best PDRA. PDRA has the best drag racing on the planet, drag racing's hidden gem. Yeah, I haven't paid too much to PDRA at the, consistently, but I do. You've said that a lot. I've heard that from other folks as well. Yeah, I think they do a good job with what they do, and a lot of people say that as well. Let's see. He said Pro Mod racing usually don't wreck as much as people think, despite getting all over the place. Put of the hundreds of Pro Mod races I've been to, only seen one major wreck. Yeah, usually it's not major. It's usually like maybe they just kind of hit the wall or whatever. Nothing major. I haven't seen. Well, no, I think there was a major wreck in Gainesville. May have been a few years ago now, though. I think that was during the time when it was a really cold. There was a cold weekend there in Gainesville. Memphis Lion says he said today that Jerry Don has moved on from Elite. Is he with someone else or out of drag racing? I do not know. I cannot answer that question. I hate autocorrect too. But Lonnie, I cannot answer that question because I do not know. I did hear that during the interview as well, but I'm not sure where he went to. I'm assuming he's out, because if he was with someone else, it would have been announced. Will he be with someone later? Could be. But yeah, it wasn't announced. We're getting close to time. So with 5 minutes left, what I will do is I'll jump into Pro Stock Motorcycle and pretty much the same suspects. I'm looking at Chase Van Sant to be able to see what he is capable of and whether he can find those hundreds to compete with the top dogs. In as far as the Vance and Hines team, does Matt Smith finally stop having the gremlins at the most inopportune time? Does he find the ability to be able to keep up? He's shown it several times last season. Can he consistently do it is the key. And nobody works harder than that team. And I think you have to give credit where credit is due. They had 4 bikes that were capable of competing with Vance and Hines and beating them. It was just a matter of them to be able to be consistent enough. Again, repeating it round after round and being able to get those W's. So we'll be watching that there. Mike, what's going on, Mike? Welcome. He says, I don't know, but 83 Pro Mods down there is nuts. Pro Mod is where it's at right now. Yeah, I mean, I think it's some of the most exciting racing that you can see. It really is unpredictable. Unpredictable. For the simple fact that we really don't. Sometimes a car can be running so consistent. Cars look good round after round, and you come out and it's just the little things that upset those cars because they're making so much horsepower and getting after it so early. And the drivers' abilities in those cars amazes me as well, because you think the reaction in a funny car happens quickly it happens just as quick to me, if not quicker, in a pro mod because of it being such a short wheelbase door slammer car. It's amazing what those guys and girls do over there in pro mod. I'm also looking at Kelly Klontz too. I want them to get back to the 3 years ago, before the wreck. That bike was running numbers, competitive numbers, winning numbers. And it seems like after the wreck, they were still trying to find their footing. And then what transpired last year, when you're working and they work outside of racing bikes, they're full-time steam fitters. It just was busy and they had to make a choice, and it just wasn't palatable for them to come out. And I don't blame them at all. I'm sure they'll be running some type of scheme for their steam fitters brethren who were lost in the unfortunate midair crash with the Black Hawk helicopter. I'm sure they'll be running something for their brothers there this season. We'll see. I'm very interested to see if they do that. I'm sure they will. But unfortunate set of circumstances, and people are reeling over that. My county is hurting bad because of that. Hey, I can't say, but that's boss man. Go Gators. Hopefully they will be better this year, but they won't be better than my dogs. So you might as well go on and get ready for another loss at the Gator dog neutral site game. I'll pay for that tomorrow at work. You said, I think Flow Racing puts on a great event. Yeah, it was a great event at South Georgia Motorsports Park for Lights Out 16. Just the amount of cars that showed up. I know there was some hiccup with the time being shown, and they're not supposed to be shown. I thought they gave an excellent explanation on that. And I also like the fact that they took responsibility as well. They didn't have to, really, because it wasn't on them. They didn't have to take responsibility for that, but they did. And, mishaps happen, because I saw a lot of people kind of, poo-pooing on things. And I'm just like, okay, mistakes happen. And that was a simple mistake. I'm sure they weren't, they didn't want to do that on purpose. And, but if you read their explanation, you'll see how it can be confusing and why something like that would have happened. Yeah, hopefully. I do think the Gators will be better next year, Jason. I do. I think one more year. What they were able to do at the end of the season last year, given the circumstances, given the injuries of different key players, it looked grim early, and they could have folded up tent and likely gotten a coach fired. But they were able to rally the troops and make it look decent. I mean, Florida State would have loved to have had the season that Florida Gators had. And I'll just leave it at that. Memphis Lonnie says, I still miss my girl, Karen Stouffer. She was always a contender. Yeah, I do too. I miss her. Yes, we are. Yeah, I know. I hear that from my big brother, Lake Lewis, all the time. We are. I get it. Yes, I get it. I'm disappointed you didn't win, though, in the championship there. But this has brought our show to a close. And look, man, it happens. Like I said, Lohnes was in travel. I was kind of iffy on whether he was going to be able to make it or not. He was going to be able to do it remote. I'm sure something came up with travel. If you're flying, you already know it's a headache. So I'm sure we'll get him on sometime later. Maybe we can do a special show the week before, but I don't know how his schedule is going to work out. Either way, we'll have him back on later. Those types of things happen here, especially when you're dealing with folks who traveling. There's one half of the broadcast at Fox. So, yeah, a lot of stuff going on, getting ready for the Gatornationals. Well, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, thank you so much for watching the show. And those of you who are watching on X, the numbers are showing it. And it's showing that we needed to be back there. I really appreciate all you guys who are watching there. Again, subscribe to the channel. The subscriptions will help. Let's try to get this thing to at least 200 by the end of the month, and then we'll set another goal. Your help is tremendous in getting sponsors and allowing us to do more for you and bring you more of what we love, especially during drag race season here at the NotBland Show. Well, to the NotBland family, thank you so much for tuning in and giving an opportunity for me. Without you, this is impossible. Thank you to Sports Journey. Thank you to our sponsor who powers this show, Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. Make sure you're supporting them. Get your gear now. Get it now. And everything Nitro, thank you. They produced the intro to this show, and hope you liked it. It's what we're going to be doing here for the foreseeable future. I felt like it was time to move on, and I made my point with that one. And let's do something special, a little different there. And we got a new logo, got a new intro. We're doing, it's going to be fun. Looking forward to 2025. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you guys, if you choose to, on the Competition Plus Power Hour at 9:00 p.m. Eastern. We will have Glenn Cromwell and Wes Buck on the show to talk about the World Series of Pro Mod. And we'll talk a little bit about NHRA and the progression that we have seen and some progression we would like to see. You know, I will ask if I am able. Well, it's been fun. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, good night.